Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing fantastic and that you're all having an absolutely wonderful day. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. In once again, news that I would have never expected would be popular news. The New York financial regulator wants cryptocurrency trading firms to clarify how exactly they decide to list or delist a cryptocurrency. The New York State Department of Financial Services, or the NYDFS, is set to introduce new guidance about crypto listing processes for crypto companies in an effort to make it clear how the industry should self-regulate. This is actually... It's not that it's not unfascinating. It's more of a, I don't believe it. The idea of self-regulation within the cryptocurrency space is something as old as time. Around 2016, 17, 18, at the beginning of the idea of regulations, a lot of cryptocurrency companies began to have the idea of self-regulation. This was a good and a bad thing in that the idea of self-regulation comes down to a company, a Coinbase, a Ripple, a consortium, a group of them together would form a new group that would allow for some type of internal self-regulation. The problem with self-regulation is that it nearly completely destroys decentralization. Yes. The idea is that we collectively as a community regulate the chains. If something is going on, we are allowed to vote on it. If you have 197,000 people voting on something, it is far more decentralized than the CEOs of 7 different companies regulating things themselves. This was the issue with the other video that I made about 2 weeks ago. For those of you who missed it, it was proposed that someone said that they believe that Ethereum should have their own, what do you call it? Oh gosh, what is it? Their own Supreme Court. That's what it was. And the idea was that the person who thought up this idea, him and like 5 other people would basically come together and they would make the rules and have the final rulings for disputes on the Ethereum blockchain. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So to have the New York State Department of Financial Services come forward and say that they want to, some type of information as to how they are going to self-regulate, it's not perfect in that humans make error. And I think any type of self-regulation would never go correct. But to be fair, the other side of the coin, regulators have also done complete garbage as well, or rather they have done nothing. And this is why we're currently here in the cryptocurrency space. A spokesperson for the NYDFS told the Wall Street Journal that the guidance was needed to protect customers even when exchanges have to delist a coin. They said, and I quote, "When we know that a coin that someone once thought was okay, when we see the new risks have emerged or the coin is being misused, we want our entities to have a way to delist the coin in a way that's still productive and protective of consumers and safely protects and soundness as well." What? Okay, that's all over the place. I don't think that can be done in that, let's say for instance, I'll give it to you this way. Let's say for instance, Coinbase has listed XRP. It's 2017, random, At some point, a lot of people begin to lie and put misinformation about XRP onto the internet. By the end of 2018, 2019, a lot of people are talking about that the XRP ledger is controlled by Ripple, that Ripple can create more XRP, that they can freeze transactions, that I can't even think of any other examples, but you kind of get my point. The idea is that there have allegedly been new risks for this coin. The coin might have been used by the company. There might have been a problem when it comes to the actual circulation of the coin. Does that then give the right to Coinbase and Kraken and Gemini and OKX to delist a coin because of people who were lying about it on the internet. The lies became so big that people began to believe it. The financial regulator then heard these lies and also was like, hey, Coinbase, why have you not delisted this coin? See what I mean? Like, it's kind of, you can throw any coin in there. What if that happens to Ether? What if it happened to Cardano? What if it happened to some other coin? Then people get really upset and then they have to relist the coin. But because of disinformation, misinformation, fake news, the coin then has to be delisted. The financial watchdog is particularly asking crypto companies to develop new policies for listing and delisting coins. The firm should focus their policies on 3 areas: governance for the coin listing process, risk assessment of coins, and procedures to monitor coins. Sure, why not? When I first heard about this, I thought it had something to do with the New York license. What is it called? The BIT license. And I was like, okay, cool. There's a brand new way for the BIT license to work. Nope. They simply are trying to come up with a way for listing and delisting coins. If you're not looking at the screen, it says tough rules for coin listing and delistings. I don't think they're that tough. I think there should be logically a certain amount of transparency within the cryptocurrency space from cryptocurrency companies. This was a very big issue a couple of years ago. Once again, when people were asking Coinbase, and it was just Coinbase. Kraken was listing everything. Binance is listing everything all the time. Gemini is a whole nother, entity in and of themselves. But people were asking, what are your rules for listing these coins? And Coinbase was like, oh, our rules are this. We do this for our coins. And they had certain metrics as to like what decentralization meant. Do you remember this years ago? And then they changed it. One day someone went to their website and all the metrics had been changed. Why? No one still knows except for the people who are within Coinbase. Why did you change your metrics? Why do they delist coins? We get a lot of times that you delist a coin because it doesn't have a lot of trading volume. Where? When exactly? What period were you looking over? So like I always say, I don't care for the idea of cryptocurrency exchanges. I know we need them, as a lot of people don't like the idea of self-custodying. Cool. But I would love something along the lines of the what's that thing? The proof of reserves that we keep getting from Binance and like 2 other exchanges, where they show us proof that they actually have your money. Everyone should kind of fall under the same blanket. If you are a company looking to acquire, to custody, to hold, to manage our money, be a little bit more transparent with it. We have cryptocurrencies because it's meant to be a new age version of the bank. But if you're doing the exact same thing that the banks were doing, why should we trust you any more than the old system? Yeah, cool. We'll see what happens if this leads to something. Will there be a massive delisting? Will there be a massive new way for people in New York to hear about how coins are being delisted? Because it seems like every single time that a new coin is listed anywhere, it's always New York and Alaska that don't get it. Why? Every single time. Anyway, that was the relatively popular news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news that was popular, but I feel like it shouldn't be, Citigroup from Citibank has made a groundbreaking announcement with the introduction of what they're calling the Citi Token Services, signaling what the website says is a transformative era for cash management and for trade finance. Apparently they're going to be using blockchain and smart contract technologies with the goal of reshaping digital asset solutions for institutions. The problem is that they're throwing out buzzwords. As far as I looked around, I did not see if this was going to be on Ethereum, as we normally hear when anything is launching. It ends up being on top of Ethereum. This seems to be a Citigroup blockchain that they created themselves. That was an issue a number of years ago, and I think since then people just don't give a hoot anymore. As far as we have decentralized blockchains and coins and currencies already on the planet, And more people, if not all people, should be using them, as they are a safe way to make sure that you have access to a financial system on this planet. A lot of banks and institutions years ago, before we finally heard that they were all into Bitcoin, had begun to announce that they were creating their own blockchains. You might remember this. JP Morgan Chase was the first one who popped up and said, blockchain, not Bitcoin. And they also created JP Morgan Coin, which subsequently no one used because every bank was trying to create their own thing. So a lot of times, still now, we get news that there are banks and institutions like Citi who create their own blockchain, and they simply throw out the idea of decentralization and smart contracts because it gets people kind of rushing to it. It's the same exact thing with WorldCoin. You say, hey, this is a coin that you can use and we'll give it to you for free. But what's the trade-off? It's the lack of decentralization and you taking people's biometric entities and their data to be able to say, okay, here's $4. You know, you going along now. We have your information for life. The same exact thing. So the news that Citi is apparently using blockchain technology made it into the news, but it was also like, what's the extent of their usage? It's cool that they're using blockchain. Are they using an open chain? Of course not. They would never do that. What kind of smart contracts are they using? It could be anything. You can have closed smart contracts within a centralized entity. It's the same exact thing when all these companies keep throwing out the phrase Web3. We're using Web3. We're in Web3. The idea of Web3 is about massive decentralization, about allowing people everywhere to use their money, to use their dApps, to use their applications how they so wish. You on Web3 would be able to use a decentralized cryptocurrency exchange that is controlled by no one, and especially not 5 people sitting inside of a building somewhere that ends up getting closed down by the SEC. You'd be able to launch smart contracts for millions of people around the world to be able to use, and they would be backed by the actual nodes and the network and the community also behind them. You'd be able to make your own coins. You'd be able to deploy a whole bunch of things, but that's not the way that Web3 is actually shaping up to be. Web3 is just as centralized as Web2, except that it's being thrown out there by these companies who know that a lot of people don't know any better, so they can simply tell you what we're using. We're using blockchain. We have smart contracts. Well, we're using Web3 like we're working with a company who also does stuff in Web3. The idea to Web3 for them is smart contracts, blockchain, and NFTs, all which can be hyper centralized. Anyway, without me having to actually tumble into a complete rant, Citibank is getting into the cryptocurrency token space. A lot of what this sounds like after having read through a lot of this is that apparently they're going to be starting payments internally through blockchain, through their systems, through subsidiaries, so that it all kind of just simply works quicker and they can try and use buzzwords to get people to start using their services. I assume as they see that these other companies are doing the exact same thing, trying to get into the cryptocurrency space, Citi's simply also trying to catch up as well. It's garbage. It's absolute nonsense. It's the same exact thing that JP Morgan and many other banks were trying to do before. If you can, try to pay attention. I know it's not the easiest thing to do, but understand that they're trying to do this because they want to make more money and they do not care about your future. They care about their future only. That's the Citibank news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in, sure, why not? It's nice to have numbers. We never usually ever get numbers about these things. Tranglo, that is Tranglo, one of the largest partners with Ripple, has shared their statistics of their services from 2021 to 2023. All crucial metrics are rocketing amidst regulatory hostility and market performance uncertainty. The regulatory hostility is mainly within the United States. Tranglo and its partners expanded on-demand liquidity usage in 2022. The net on-demand liquidity transactions, meaning this company was using or is using XRP for their transactions. In 2022, they only, air quotes, sent around $53 million worth of XRP through their systems. 53 million in 2021, and 2022 they actually went from $53 million to $970 million just using XRP. This data was shared in a long read on Tranglo, published by the Singapore financial media outlet known as The Edge. I don't know why we're getting so much Singapore crypto news in the last couple of weeks, but okay, sure, why not? For some reason, Singapore and Hong Kong seem to be constantly poking their head into the cryptocurrency space with their news. So, not the deepest news. We usually tend to hear that a company has partnered with another company. X company, cool. Or Cardano has a partnership and this company is going to be using ADA. This company has partnered with Tron and they're going to be using the Tron token to transact money, yada, yada. We never usually hear anything after that. It's like they have a partner, but is anyone actually using the coin? So they actually came out and told us that they went from 53 million using on-demand liquidity down up to $970 million the year after. So hopefully this number rises as well this year. Not the craziest news, but we never actually get numbers, and numbers are very, very important because I assume that with the 35 other companies that are also using XRP, their numbers probably also went up as well, which only then leads us to the discussion as to why the price of the coin would go down. And I know someone just had something smart to say. Go sit in the corner. Yeah, I heard you. I heard exactly what you said, because if it was any other coin, you'd be like, well, Cardano's not having a good year. Yeah, okay. All right. Anyway, cool. Yeah. Their ODL, on-demand liquidity usage, went up by 1,700%. Fantastic. That's the Ripple's XRP being used by Tranglo, increased by 1,700% news. Yeah. Let's move on. That's also almost $1 billion by one company. Just gonna throw those numbers out there. All right. Let's move on. Also in a lot, I'm shocked. I'm very, very shocked at this news because this isn't what reality has been for a while. Coinbase's CEO, Brian Armstrong, has apparently broke his long-standing silence on Bitcoin, offering rare words of enthusiasm for the world's largest cryptocurrency. For those of you who have not been here many moons ago, there has always been a little tiny bit of controversy surrounding Coinbase and Bitcoin. Why, you might ask? Because the legend goes, if you want to find it as news from 2017, 2018, you can find the old videos on my channel. Allegedly, many years ago, the CEO of Coinbase, in a video that I remember making a while back, said something along the lines of Ethereum's going to save the world. That I'm paraphrasing completely. But people had been asking for years. Remember, he got into a little spout with Jack Dorsey a while ago, and Jack Dorsey's like, Bitcoin's the best thing on the planet. We've seen before that the Coinbase CEO, Brian Armstrong, I believe, has previously mentioned that Ethereum is kind of like the coin that was really going to make it. Bitcoin was cool, it was fascinating, but Ethereum, that's the coin that was going to bring us into a brand new age. You might remember, for those of you who might remember, years ago, I mentioned this before, about 55 times, there was a situation where Coinbase announced that they were going to be adding new coins onto their platform. They had a list. They had a photo of all these coins back in 2018. It was a nice little infographic of all these coins they were thinking of adding. They made a big announcement. We are adding 30 new coins to the platform, and every single one of them was just an ERC20 Ethereum token, and everyone was like, huh? No one asked you for these coins. People were asking for every other coin under the sun, and of course XRP was at the top of that list. And that's when the speculation really began that apparently Coinbase favored Ethereum far more than Bitcoin. A lot of this is, of course, speculation. It goes back to old news stories that we had 5 years ago, what have you. However, the reason why it said he broke his long-standing silence on Bitcoin is because he basically was constantly tipping his hat in the direction of Ethereum. So to hear that this guy, who previously didn't say a word, announced that Bitcoin is amazing, everyone's kind of like, that was you who said that? You said those words? In a post on Twitter, Armstrong announced that Coinbase is moving to enable user access to the Bitcoin Lightning Network, a layer 2 scaling solution that allows Bitcoin to be used for faster consumer payments and deferred settlements. This happened middle of summer? No. I think it was earlier. There were rumors around January or February that Coinbase was looking into the Lightning Network. I think around mid-summer, there was a post on Twitter that Brian Armstrong was like, he wrote something along the lines of, someone messaged him and was like, hey dude, when Lightning? And he wrote, we're looking into it. I think he literally wrote something like short and sweet, like leave me alone kind of thing. The Lightning Network is all but necessary at this point. Bitcoin will survive with or without it. However, if you want a good, 10x push, 50x push in usage, you give it the Lightning Network. You have transaction fees of 1 Satoshi, around 1 cent. I don't know what a Satoshi is currently right now. And you make the payments instantaneous. You make it so that it's everywhere around the world. It's in different apps. We've also seen this as well. I think Binance announced that they're going to be supporting the Lightning Network. I think Kraken already does, ? I'm not sure. Gemini hasn't been in the news in a very long time. I have no idea what the Gemini twins are doing or what's happening with them, so I can't really say. When we heard back in 2018 with the Bakkt app, BAKKT, from the New York Stock Exchange, when they were partnering with Nordstrom and Starbucks and everything else to be able to use Bitcoin, they were also using the Lightning Network. So in order to use Bitcoin for everyday daily transactions, the thing was years ago, people either said, I want to be able to buy a stick of gum, who buys 1 stick of gum, and or a cup of coffee, and I want to be able to use Lightning with it or Bitcoin with it, and therefore that's the only way that we'd basically be able to do it. With the company formally dedicating engineer Victor Bunnin to the effort of Lightning Network on Coinbase. He stated, Bitcoin is the most important asset in crypto, and we're excited to do our part to enable faster and cheaper Bitcoin transactions. The move to integrate the Lightning Network into Coinbase's platform underscores the growing significance, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, here we go. Armstrong was a notable backer of movements to increase the Bitcoin block size, often voicing his dissatisfaction to Bitcoin core developers. That is a whole nother topic. Jeez Louise, I forgot about that. For those of you who, I'll give you like a little quick snippet of what it was. The idea is that the Bitcoin core developers, the number one coin, people, even the term Bitcoin core is like, ooh, watch out, like where you're stepping. The idea is that the number one coin, Bitcoin, is probably never going to have a rapid, crazy, massive, insane update. The idea is that this chain is transacting trillions of dollars every single year. Every month, I think there's also over $1 trillion worth of money moving through it. If you keep implementing update, at some point it might break. If you break a chain that in 2023 is transacting about $15 trillion per year, that's a problem because we know that it works. It's slow, but it's steady, and it's still winning the race. So other chains have said, I'm going to update as much as possible as, every single month, every twice, 3-4 times a year, we're going to have updates. This is the Trons, the IOTAs, the Cardanos, constant updates, even the Ethereum. Constant updates all the time. If you pay attention to the news or have been here for a while, you will remember that a large amount of time, some of these upgrades don't work. they end up having the other coins being forked. That is to say, like a new branch grows from them. And then you have these like renegades who come out and they're like, we want to only follow that other chain. This is why we have Bitcoin Cash, because people came forward years ago and said, no, we should massively update the chain. And people were like, that might break it. So they said, okay, cool, we'll make a new coin called Bitcoin Cash to increase the block size. And we saw how that went. From Bitcoin Cash, we got Bitcoin Cash Satoshi's Vision, with someone claiming that he's Satoshi Nakamoto and he needs to increase the block size even further. And once again, we all know how that ended up turning out. The winner of the story ended up being Bitcoin, because the entire idea was, if we can maintain this chain with small updates every now and again, nothing major to allow for a fork, we can get this coin to the year 2200. We can get this chain all the way there. However, if people want to use it on a daily basis and start using their Bitcoin and Satoshis, let's wrap layers around it instead, like the Lightning Network. And there's also something called Liquid, but Liquid is mainly used for crypto exchanges, so we barely hear about it, for instantaneous transactions within the exchange space as well. This is why we have constant news about layer 2 solutions for Ethereums and other coins, because we see that it works. However, we need the Lightning Network to become far more robust. We need more normal people getting into it, opening up Lightning Network channels so that we can have more transactions flowing through the actual system. Still, Armstrong's acknowledgement of Bitcoin as the most important asset is nearly life-changing, because I never expected this guy to even look in the direction of Bitcoin. But I can only assume that over the course of time, he probably came to the realization that Bitcoin's going to be around for a very long time. That's not to say that Ether won't. It is clear as day that Ethereum's also going to be around for a while as well. But when once again you got people talking, listen, the idea of $1 million Bitcoin is a very strong idea, because I personally believe that we will eventually get there. I know a lot of other people don't, but we will have this conversation again in 2032. And when people want to start using their Bitcoin and their Satoshis to buy homes and boats and all these other things that rich people buy, you will need to have the infrastructure there already. Especially if you see that the trend is moving in the direction of the Lightning Network, because a lot of countries who have Bitcoin as legal tender, or also who are using these apps, they're using the Lightning Network. If we see that number constantly increasing, you as Coinbase are going to go, okay, not only do we need to integrate it, but if people use Lightning within our platform and have a Coinbase Visa card and they make payments with Bitcoin and it goes through the Lightning Network on Coinbase's platform, Coinbase also gets a portion of those fees. Yeah, this man literally said Bitcoin is important and people lost it. Very popular news story. You would assume that it would not be, because it's just Brian Armstrong saying something, but alas, that's where we are within the cryptocurrency space. I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, great morning, great afternoon, or great evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See